Welcome, fellow seekers of the truth. Today we witness a moment that forged human history. Imagine 1,000,000 terrified, captive souls, wandering aimlessly through a brutal, scorching desert. They possessed no nation, no formal army, and absolutely no laws to guide their survival. Yet, at the base of a dark, thundering mountain, this chaotic mob transformed into a holy realm. How did a terrifying storm birth the very foundation of Western moral civilization? According to ancient texts, the Israelites camped beneath the jagged peaks of Mount Sinai. They had just escaped the cruel whips of Egypt, but their minds were still chained by heavy trauma. Food and water were incredibly scarce, pushing their fragile sanity to the absolute limit. A massive crowd of over 1,000,000 exhausted souls huddled together in makeshift dusty tents. Fear and primal survival instincts quickly replaced the initial joy of their newfound freedom. Without a structured system of justice, bitter disputes and angry conflicts erupted daily. Men violently argued over tiny drops of water and the remaining scraps of stale, dry bread. Some clutched stolen Egyptian gold, an empty comfort in the middle of a barren wasteland. They were a disorganized mob, highly vulnerable to both internal strife and harsh nature. Moses, their weary leader, walked among the chaotic camps, witnessing their rapid moral decay. He knew that without a higher authority, this fragile community would soon destroy itself. The people worshipped old idols and pagan gods, completely forgetting the miracles they saw. This brings us to a crucial question. Can true freedom exist without any rules or boundaries? If you were leading this desperate crowd, how would you establish order in a lawless desert? To forge a nation from broken captives, a supreme legal foundation was desperately needed. The burden rested heavily on Moses, a frail 80-year-old man carrying a wooden staff. He desperately prayed for divine guidance, seeking a way to tame their wild, rebellious hearts. The air grew terribly thick and suffocating, as if the desert itself was holding its breath. Animals grew restless, bleating and pulling at their tethers in a sudden, unexplainable panic. A strange, ominous shadow began to creep across the vast encampment, swallowing the sunlight. Heavy, unnatural clouds gathered silently around the towering summit of the Rocky Mountain. The Israelites stopped their endless bickering and stared upward, filled with a sudden, deep dread. The ancient historians noted that the temperature dropped rapidly, chilling them to the bone. A profound silence washed over the 1,000,000 people, replacing their chaotic, angry voices. They did not yet know that the creator of the universe was preparing to reveal himself. The stage was perfectly set for an event that would alter the course of human history forever. The law of the jungle was about to be forcefully replaced by the eternal laws of heaven. Night fell over the desert, but nobody could sleep, haunted by the looming, dark mountain peak. On the morning of the third day, a terrifying spectacle unfolded before their very eyes. The book of Exodus describes a massive, thick black cloud violently descending upon Mount Sinai. The whole peak erupted into raging, billowing smoke, exactly like a giant, burning furnace. Suddenly, a blinding flash of lightning tore the dark sky apart, illuminating the barren desert. Deafening claps of thunder shook the very ground they stood on, causing the earth to tremble hard. The millions of Israelites fell to their knees, utterly paralyzed by this overwhelming power. They covered their ears and pressed their faces into the dirt, weeping in absolute, pure terror. Then, the piercing, unearthly sound of a mighty ram's horn echoed from the heavens, growing louder. There was no human blowing this mighty shofar. It was the raw, majestic voice of the divine. The sheer magnitude of God's presence was too much for any mortal mind to safely comprehend. Fire blazed furiously on the summit, casting a blood-red glow over the massive sea of tents. This was not a gentle, loving father figure, but a fiercely powerful, untouchable sovereign. The stark contrast between their mortal weakness and his infinite might was painfully obvious. Fearing instant death, the desperate elders crawled toward Moses, begging for his intervention. They cried out in agony, pleading, "Speak to us yourself, but do not let God speak to us directly. If we hear that terrifying, thunderous voice one more time, we will surely die on this spot." Moses stood firm before the panic-stricken crowd, his white beard whipping wildly in the strong gale. He slowly raised his wooden staff and calmly told them not to fear, for God had come to test their faith. This divine display of immense power was meant to instill a lasting reverence in their hearts. Only through true, profound reverence for the Lord could they overcome their selfish, sinful nature. Yet the violent storm continued to rage, completely hiding the mountain peak from human eyes. The terrifying boundary between the sacred and the profane was drawn in fire and dark clouds. Who would dare to step into that blinding, supernatural inferno without being consumed alive? Moses turned away from the trembling masses and began his slow, solitary ascent up the rocks. Each step he took brought him closer to the terrifying epicenter of the divine thunderstorm. The Israelites watched in breathless awe as their frail leader disappeared into the thick gloom. He was one mortal man, willingly walking into the unbridled power of the Creator. The fate of an entire nation rested on this dangerous, lonely, spiritual journey. Deep inside the swirling, dark storm clouds, Moses found himself entirely cut off from the world. The howling winds battered his fragile body, yet a strange, holy peace surrounded his spirit. He stood before an intense, burning light that radiated a warmth completely unlike earthly fire. Here, in the absolute isolation of the mountain, the greatest covenant in history was forged. God did not simply hand down a set of arbitrary rules. He offered a sacred, binding treaty. Two massive slabs of rough-hewn granite appeared, seemingly cut from the very heart of Sinai. According to the ancient scriptures, the very finger of God began to write upon the hard stone. Brilliant sparks of divine energy flew as ancient Hebrew letters were carved into the granite. These were the 10 Commandments, the ultimate moral compass designed to guide human behavior. The first 4 commandments established an absolute, unwavering loyalty to the one true God. They strictly forbade the worship of false idols and demanded the observance of the Sabbath rest. This completely shattered the Egyptian polytheistic mindset that had enslaved them for centuries. But the other 6 commandments were just as revolutionary for the future of human society. They laid the permanent foundation for all civil rights, demanding deep respect for human life. You shall not vanquish, you shall not commit adultery, and you shall not steal from your neighbor. You shall not bear false witness, nor covet anything that rightfully belongs to another man. These laws were brilliantly simple, yet they possessed the power to tame the wildest of societies. They declared that every single person has inherent value and rights protected by the divine. The glowing letters burned brightly from within the stone grooves, pulsating with heavenly power. Moses held the heavy tablets, feeling the immense, crushing weight of this divine responsibility. Modern scholars note that this legal code uniquely combined religious duty with social ethics. It was a monumental shift. Law was no longer just the king's will, but an objective, divine truth. The covenant was officially sealed, transforming these refugees into a chosen people. They were no longer captives to Pharaoh, but willing servants to a higher, perfect moral standard. The storm around the summit finally began to subside, its purpose now completely fulfilled. The blinding fire faded away, leaving behind a tranquil, silent mist covering the rocky peaks. Moses stood alone in the quiet aftermath, holding the 2 stone tablets against his tired chest. His 40 days and 40 nights of intense spiritual communion had fundamentally changed him. As the evening sun cast a warm, golden glow over the desert, Moses began his slow descent. He carefully navigated the steep, treacherous path, guarding the sacred tablets with his life. Unbeknownst to him, his face was radiating a brilliant, supernatural light from the encounter. The lingering presence of the Almighty had left a visible, glowing mark upon his weathered skin. Down in the valley, the million Israelites stood in complete, absolute, and terrified silence. The chaotic bickering and selfish complaints of the previous days had completely vanished now. They watched in absolute pure awe as their leader emerged from the dissipating clouds of the storm. The radiant glow on his face was so intensely bright that many had to shield their eyes in fear. He carried the heavy stone slabs into the center of the camp, placing them for everyone to see. The law had officially arrived, bringing a vital sense of holy order to the chaotic mob. This single moment under the mountain sky permanently redefined the concept of human justice. The people stood entirely still, realizing that their chaotic ways were forever abolished. They willingly embraced the sacred covenant, stepping out of their dark, primal ignorance. Historians agree this was the birth of a nation bound not by blood, but by divine law. The mighty 10 Commandments soon transcended the boundaries of the dry and barren desert sands. They formed the unshakable moral bedrock for the future of Western civilization. True concepts of justice and personal responsibility were firmly established here. For the very first time, a legal code demanded compassion for the weak and vulnerable. The immense, terrifying power of the Sinai storm had finally birthed a perfect order. But human nature is notoriously stubborn, always fighting against strict divine rules. The newfound peace at the base of the mountain would be brutally shattered in the coming weeks. Moses had to return to the terrifying, fiery summit for 40 more long days and nights. Left entirely alone without their trusted leader, the massive crowd quickly grew restless. The horrifying memory of the divine thunder started to slowly fade from their minds. A deeply rooted, dangerous hunger for a physical, touchable God consumed the camp. They aggressively demanded a golden idol, completely betraying the new covenant. What terrible, unforgivable madness will unfold when the Holy Prophet finally returns? Prepare yourselves to witness the devastating consequences of the infamous golden calf. These two heavy stone tablets did far more than control an ancient tribe. They shaped our modern world. Would humanity have survived its own dark instincts without this divine law? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this journey through time, please like, share, and subscribe to support our channel today.